What's up, everyone? Jeremy Gerard from Mythic Customs here with one of my short customizing tutorial videos. Today's video, we're going to look at using soft goods pieces in your Mythic Legions customs. Now, moment of truth, I got to admit, I was never a fan of soft goods pieces on action figures. When the first Mythic Legions wave came out all the way back during the Kickstarter, and they announced that some of the figures that came with capes were going to have actually fabric soft goods capes, I was actually kind of bummed. I'm someone who always liked the big plastic flowing capes. I came up, one of my first lines I collected was the Spawn line by McFarlane Toys, which the team from Four Horsemen Studios worked on heavily in those early days. Those figures with the crazy dramatic flowing capes, that's always something that I really, really liked for my display. So the idea of soft goods never appealed to me. I also found that soft goods at this scale, at the 1/12 scale, it always looked kind of clunky to me. It always looked like the pieces were too big, zippers were too big and stuff like that. Just never cared for it. Now, obviously, when the Mythic Legions line finally shipped and I saw the soft goods, I liked them. I thought they were really, really cool. Now, granted, they were just capes, so it wasn't like they were really, really over the top. They had a lot of soft goods pieces. But since that time, I've certainly come around on soft goods. I started collecting Mezco 1/12 collective figures, which totally changed my mind on what soft goods could be for the 1/12 scale. And as Mythic Legions starts to add more and more soft goods, they've upgraded what's possible as well. I've started to use soft goods from other places, and I'm seeing some custom soft goods that are going to be available that are just blowing my mind. So that all being said, I figured it was a really, really good time to shoot a video and show some inspirational ideas on how you can use some soft goods in your customs. Okay, so first things first, let's look at probably my first Mythic Legions custom that I used soft goods for. I'm going to bring that up right now. Let's see, and that is this guy right here, my Vampire Assassin. Okay, so this is a custom that I did very, very early on, and I say custom in the loosest of terms. This is very much just a pop and swap combination of parts. This is a Black Knight Legion builder with a Carpathius head on top of it, and the black robe that he is wearing is from a Star Wars Black Series Kylo Ren. If you look at one of my previous videos where I talk about my 5 favorite fodder figures to use for customs, Star Wars Black Series Kylo Ren is certainly on that list. I have used that figure so many times, lots of great parts in that figure, including this soft goods robe. All I really did here was put that robe on top of the figure. I sliced 2 really small little holes in the hood so Carpathius's ears would kind of poke out because I liked that look. But even that addition, just that simple addition of that robe really transforms how this character looks. It makes it look, instead of just a black armored vampire, it really gives it more of that roguish type look, that assassin type look that I was going for here. Very, very simple addition. Now, I said I've used that Kylo Ren robe many, many times. Let's look at another example of it in practice. This is a character I did that I actually debuted at Legions Con in 2019, the first ever Legions Con. This was my Undead Jaguarian Mage. So this uses, a bunch of bone parts from a Skeleton Legion builder. It uses a wonderful 3D printed head from Planetary Dog Toys. It actually uses some feet that I pulled off of an old Halloween decoration to create this skeletal cat-like character. But bringing that all together, once again, is that Kylo Ren robe. Really simple to use. Whether you use it, you keep it intact. There have been other times that I've actually sliced it up the middle so it hangs not so much like a robe, but more kind of like a long cloak type piece. It is a great, simple to add item that can, once again, transform a figure. So on the note of Star Wars Black Series, Star Wars Black Series are mostly all plastic, but they do have, like in the example of the Kylo Ren, some soft goods. Another figure in that series that has soft goods is the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. And I used that, ironically, when I did a Mythic Legions tribute to a Star Wars character. So I did a whole series of tributes to the Star Wars bounty hunters. I always loved the Star Wars bounty hunters growing up. They were just cool, roguish looking characters. So I created a whole series of them reimagined as Mythic Legions figures. This is my reimagining of the Star Wars bounty hunter known as Zuckus. So in the Star Wars mythology, Zuckus is this weird kind of almost bug-like character from a planet that's full of mist. So I imagined this character as what I called a mist goblin. I took a Goblin Legion builder head, I painted the skin a different color, but what I did here was I used that Obi-Wan Kenobi robe. And what I want to show here is the great thing about that robe is it has sleeves. So one of the things with Mythic Legions is because Mythic Legions works off of an existing parts library, we haven't yet gotten arms and legs that aren't armored. Now, we will get some of those coming in the Alithia wave. In the Alithia wave, they showed some characters that have, more kind of like pants or like shirt-like coverings on their arms and legs. But we haven't not gotten that in hand yet. So when I created this figure, I wanted to go for a character that had that robed type look. So by using that robe and then putting some armor on top of it, that chest plate that he's wearing is actually from a Lord of the Rings King Theoden figure. It creates this really cool kind of look that looks, quite frankly, very, very different than the other figures in my collection because he's got that robed look. Cool, right? Okay, so one of the things, there are some characters that if you're going to create in Mythic Legions, you need soft goods. It's one thing to say, well, I prefer a soft goods cape versus a plastic cape or vice versa. But there are some characters, there are some designs that you are going to need some kind of soft goods for, including this next one that we are going to look at. So this is my Dwarven Bard, who I call Piper McHannigan. And when I was designing this, when I was thinking about this character, I said, well, if there was going to be a Dwarven Bard, obviously he would play bagpipes. So that I got that in my head. I wanted to create this looking character. Obviously, if I'm going to make a bagpiper, I wanted to give him some of that like tartan type look that he's wearing here. The bagpipes, the skirt or the kilt he's wearing, and the sash he has on are all from an old McFarlane Toys Austin Powers Fat Bastard figure. Those pretty much, this character himself kind of looks like Fat Bastard from that movie, but that's what I created here. And it's an example of how using soft goods, especially using them from creative places, can give you some looks in your Mythic Legions collection that you just won't find anywhere else. I certainly don't expect that the Horsemen are going to give us a giant fat bagpiper dwarf wearing tartan anytime soon. So if you want one, you can do something like this and create it for yourself. Awesome, right? Okay, so let's look at what we've got next. You don't only have to use pieces from existing toy lines. I've looked at Star Wars Black Series so far, some McFarlane stuff here. You can also use soft goods, maybe even just from the craft store. And I say soft goods, but in this case, I'm looking at some fur. So this is a custom I did quite some time ago. It's another simple one. It's just a Khador body that has a head from a Masters of the Universe Classics Jitsu on it. But I wanted to create a barbarian character that had a very Mongolian type feel to it. I gave him, a bow and some arrows and a quiver from Lord of the Rings to turn him into an archer. That wonderful sword that's from the McFarlane Toys Samurai Wars line. But bringing it all together is that fur that he wears on his back. And as simple as this is, it looks great. This is just some craft store fur that I got at Michael's that I just kind of cut and folded to the shape that I wanted, and I just stuck it underneath those pauldrons. Cut a few little holes in it to plug the pauldrons into, and then once it's all put together, It just goes together really, really seamlessly. This is something that you can absolutely do. Go to the craft store, look at the fabrics they have, look at the furs they have. You can integrate those into your figures, either as capes, as fur, that they're going to wear around their shoulders. You can even separate the figures at the waist, cut a little hole and make kind of a skirt type piece. I've done that many times. It looks very cool. Okay, what do we got next here? Let's kick it up a notch. Let's go big and let's look at some ogres. One of the things that I love to do with the ogre scale figures is to use pieces from 1/6 scale figures. So Mythic Legions, the line itself is 1/12 scale. They're 6-7 inches tall. 1/6 scale are the 12-inch style figures. There's a variety of companies that make those type of figures. One of the great things about that scale is there is a huge customizing community around 1/6 scale figures, which means you can often find a lot of loose parts and accessories for them. It is something that I have embraced heavily when I'm doing ogre scale customs. This here is a custom that I did of a butcher type character. And the mask that he is wearing, that actual head is another custom piece from Planetary Dog Toys that I painted. But that skull mask he's wearing, that ridiculously giant cleaver he wields, that bone knife he's got in his other hand, and of course, that soft goods bloody apron, those all come from various 1/6 scale figures. So if you're going to be doing some ogre scale customs, there are some great soft goods pieces that you can add onto those figures to create some really, really cool looks. I've got a couple other ogres here that we can look at to give you some other inspirational ideas and some examples of what I am talking about. So here's another one. This is a custom ogre scale gladiator I did. And that helmet that he's wearing that I found, and I really liked it because it almost looked like an upsized version of the Calavius helmet. That is actually metal. That's not soft goods, but that is on a 1/6 scale figure. And that arm sleeve he's got, that armor that he's wearing, almost looks like chainmail that he's got on his sleeve there. That is from a 1/6 scale figure, as is the shield and sword he wields. These are just simply adding these parts on top of a Balthal the Tower figure to create this really cool looking character. There's the only customization on this is adding parts. Yet if you put this on the side of Balthar, they look totally, totally different. I think the only real customization I did was on his belt. The normal Mythic Legion's belt has a couple bones that hang down, and I cut off those little bones with an X-Acto blade just to change up the look ever so slightly. But once again, 1/6 scale parts. One more to show from that category of an ogre with 1/6 scale parts. And this is one that I absolutely love that I created of the orc god Grummish the One-Eyed. So in Dungeons and Dragons, there's the god of the orcs, the deity of the orcs is this character Grummish the One-Eyed. There's an ongoing theme you're finding here. This is yet another custom head from Planetary Dog Toys that I painted. I just put that on top of an Orc Legion Builder body and just added some new pieces to it here. So you can see that the gauntlet that he's got on his arm there, that was something that I made actually out of a combination of some pieces from a 1/6 scale Asmus Toys Lord of the Rings figure. And it was the character of Gothmog the Orc. The chest piece that he's wearing here, that kind of tunic that he's wearing is also from that same Gothmog figure. And it's absolutely wonderful. What I did here was I actually put it on the figure. I separated the torso from the waist. I slipped that on, and then I slid that belt on up over the lower part of the skirt before I plugged back in the legs. That allowed me to really have the tunic go underneath the belt and really kind of tie it all together. Otherwise, it looked a little wide at the waist, but this really cinched it all in really nice together. Once again, those gauntlets, I did a little bit of surgery there, cutting apart pieces of the actual Mythic Legion's Ogre gauntlets along with the pieces from the Gothmog figure to create this look. But even without those, really the star of the show here is that tunic that he's wearing. That is as simple as just sliding it on. So those are a handful of examples of ways that you can use 1/6 scale soft goods pieces, and there are a ton of them out there. Soft goods pieces, weapons, what have you, to really, really transform the way that your ogres look. Cool. Now, last few things I'll talk about. Don't ignore the Mythic Legion soft goods themselves. You can do some really, really cool stuff with the pieces that Four Horsemen Studios already gives us. Different ways of arranging those robes and those capes, different ways of using the fur, and you can get some really, really cool looks. Let me show you exactly what I mean here. Share my screen one more time. This is a Fury Elf character that I did. So I took a number of different pieces, including that Elf Legion Builder head. I actually removed the helmet. They're not meant to come off, but with a little bit of patience, you can certainly pull them off. It makes the heads underneath them easier to paint. And I painted that as part of my Fury clan. But what I really want to point out here is just the simple addition of that fur that he's got underneath his shoulder pauldron. That is just some extra fur that I had from one of my ogres, probably the Ogre Legion Builder. It comes with those fur loin type pieces. I had done some customization. I didn't need that loin piece anymore, so it was in my fodder bins. Something as simple as just wedging that up underneath the armor, having it cascade down the arm, gives it a really, really cool look. Absolutely transforms the way that that Fury Elf character looks. So there's a handful of ideas for you of using other toy lines like Star Wars Black Series. You can use stuff from Michael's Crafts or AC Moore or Joanne's Fabrics. There's a ton of stuff that you can find in there. You can use 1/6 scale parts if you want to go bigger and work on some ogres. And certainly you can use pieces from the Mythic Legion's toy line itself. Last but not least, custom soft goods. There are some really, really cool custom soft goods options out there, including some awesome pieces that are coming to legionshop.com, created by Strupp Family Crafts. Strupp Family Crafts is a really wonderful artist group that are creating these awesome soft goods pieces. We are so excited to have them working with us at Legion Shop. Let me show you two of the pieces that they are going to have available at the shop. So this first one here is a really cool custom Plague Doctor coat. The Plague Doctor head is going to be available at Legion Shop as well. That was sculpted and printed by Von Berg Studios, but this coat was created by Brenda Strupp of Strupp Family Crafts. And altogether, it really creates a cool character. This is a really simple customization. This is simply on a Shadow Elf Warrior. So it's a Shadow Elf Warrior body with that head. You can buy the head painted from Legion Shop, or you can buy it unpainted and do it yourself. Grab one of these coats, slap it right on the figure. All that I did here, similar to when I was just talking about that Grummish, the one-eyed orc, what I did was I separated the figure at the waist, put the coat on, slipped that waist piece over it. I just had to slice inside of that waist piece so it would fit over, and then I put the coat underneath it and plug the legs back in. That's my preference. You could certainly just have the coat go over the waist piece, and that would make it even easier for you to use. But it creates a wonderfully cool looking figure. I've got him right here. This is the actual custom that I did that's used in those promo shots. It's wonderful, wonderful quality. The seams, all of the stitching is so tight, so nice. It doesn't look chunky and out of place. It looks great on these figures. Speaking of looking great, check out this. If you've got yourself an extra Baron Valigar or two, and you're like, what am I going to do with this character now? Because now the new Baron Valigar is coming out. Baron Valigar 2 is coming out in the Alithia wave, and that's such a cool figure. Are you still going to want to use this as Baron Valigar? I know what I'm doing with this character is turning him into like a really cool vampire sentinel, almost like a vampire's royal guard. That was actually the thought process behind the design of these pieces. Check this out. So these cool vampire robes are also created by Brenda Strupp from Strupp Family Crafts. Once again, these will be available from legionshop.com. If you check out legionshop.com and they're not available, there might be back ordered. They do sell quickly, so you might have to wait for the next time we get them in stock. But they're really, really cool soft goods robes. They have a slate or an opening down one side that can be positioned on either side of the Baron Valigar figure. I mean, obviously, you could use this on any figure you wanted. I'm showing it on Valigar. It's got that great graphic that is on the side of it that actually matches the symbol that is on the banner that comes with Baron Valigar. That symbol was actually meant to be a simplified version of Alithia's form. So if you look at the Alithia character, who is the dark goddess, the leader of the Alithia's brood faction, she comes with 6 arms. So that actual symbol was meant to be a simplified version of Alithia's form, and that is right there on the robes. Super, super cool. Once again, I've got one of them right here. Great, great feel, great fabric. Love the way that looks. Absolutely pops. Custom soft goods are yet another thing that you can do to change the look of your figures by using some really cool soft goods pieces. If you found this video helpful or inspirational, if you find any of my videos helpful or inspirational, please give it a like. If you have any comments you want to share, certainly do so in the comments below. And if you are not subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. It will allow you to be notified whenever videos like this go live. Until next time, I can't wait to see what you make.